Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. You already know who it is. Targeted Individual CJBK. It is Sunday, September 17th, 12:57 p.m. or 12:45 p.m. Last night was a trip, or this morning rather, because I remember going to bed around probably like 10ish, 11ish, and when I went to bed, I felt like I felt like I might actually get good sleep, but then I fell into the part where I forgot that I gotta go to church today. So I knew that, in doing so, they were going to probably mess with me. So there was basically, I don't know what it was. They was having some type of like party or something outside. So it was to the point where somebody had like a megaphone with a big speaker and they was speaking loud and whatnot. So, that woke me up the first time. So then I basically, I had got up and closed my window so then I could try to get some, so I could, hear some amount of quietness or whatever. But that wasn't even the worst of it. The worst of it was they ran me through 5 different dream simulations. 5 different dream simulations. Each one was like intricately different from the next, and each one of them was something basically to try to see if they can make me out to be some type of like criminal or is everything that they ran in those simulations was basically to see if they can basically make me look bad to, I guess, the secret society, because when they're running you through these dream simulations, they're basically watching you like a show or a movie. They're watching your response. They're watching how you react to different things and stuff like that. Now, here's one thing I must say, right? It was interesting because the very last dream, like one of the dreams, it was like, okay, they had me, it was like everywhere I went, there was like some like high school girl, and for whatever reason, they kept trying to like set my emotional state to make me feel like I was attracted to her. And then I'm thinking to myself, I know it's wrong, but yet they're manipulating my emotions to make me develop an attraction to someone who is underage. That's a common thing among TIs who are being targeted, especially men, is that they would try to force you into having an emotional reaction to underage women, right? Or underage girls, right? That's a common thing that they do. I don't know how many TI women they do it to, but I know most men that's being targeted, they always end up having and then they just basically hit me in my head with a powerful post just now. A lot of this is retaliation because of the last couple of videos I've been posting about the secret society and everything. Because they're all like, oh, you're not supposed to be talking about secret society, da 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 da. And then here's one thing I also realized too. How convenient. How convenient. That's convenient, right? The last dream that I could remember, it was like one of them was like a pedophile dream. Another one was like it was like a gay dream. It was like a homosexual dream. Then I don't remember what one of the other ones was, but the last one, the very last one that I had was, I don't remember exactly what was happening, but I think it was like I was walking down like a street or something, and it was these cops, right? These cops, they looked like they were probably following or they were walking behind some woman, and I think I overheard them say something about we're following her. And then for whatever reason, I had stopped and turned around and said, hey, can I ask y'all something? And then they stopped and they was like, sure, right? And they stood there waiting, and they stood there and waited for me to ask them a question, right? So as I'm like standing there about to ask them the question, all of a sudden, some other cops came by like they was trying to walk through me and the other cops as I was trying to ask them some questions. And then they said to me, I'm sorry, but you'll understand. And then all of a sudden, I woke up from the dream almost like they interrupted me before I could ask the question. But I couldn't even remember what was the question I was going to ask them, because I started to ask them, I started to ask them a question, but before I could even fully remember all the words I wanted to say for the question, I got interrupted by two other cops, and then all of a sudden, I woke up from the dream. Now, you got to remember, all of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for nanotech and radio frequencies. That's the base to all of it. Nanotechnology and radio frequencies. That's the base to all of it. That's the base of this technology. If you don't understand everything else, learn about wireless body area network. Learn about how nano robots or nano transmitters can be used to send and receive basically radio frequencies and convert radio frequencies into electrical impulses while they're positioned right next to your nerves, or probably just traveling or wherever they're at in your body. Learn about low power wireless area networks, or LPWANs. Learn about these things. Then after I woke up from that dream, I got up this morning and I was about to make a video, but then for whatever reason, I clicked on my Instagram, right? I just literally tapped on the Instagram app and it opens up. First thing I see is a short by one of my followers on Instagram named Osiris something. Osiris, I forgot, but it's like Osiris something. And he's like recording what looks like to be a cop lady, and he's like it looked like he's like sitting at a restaurant or whatever, and she's like standing there, she's like leaned over whatever, and then she like, you could see she looks at him, and then I think she notices him like recording the phone, so then she like kind of does this thing, like she's trying to avoid like looking directly at him, and then she looks to the side and see him still looking at her, so then she takes her phone, tries to duck behind this little corner of a wall or whatever. I kid you not, there is so much evil in this world right now, and they're cloaking it. They think that they're good people though. That's the twisted part. The devil is so powerful, but he's not more powerful than you or God. You got to remember that. The devil got these people thinking that they're doing the right thing. Because you got to remember, God named Lucifer Morning Star. His name is Lucifer Morning Star. Lucifer was an angel. You got to remember that. Angels are very powerful. They also knew all the secrets that were in heaven, and then they came down to earth and taught men and women all the secrets that they weren't supposed to know. Because if they learned these things, they would begin to move in a way that would be opposite of what God would want them to be. Now, I don't care about all the people that be looking at me, giving me looks, shooting energy at me, or whatever the case may be. I don't care about all that. Right now, I'm already at the point where I understand that everywhere I go, people look at me with, I want to say it's fear. I believe it's fear. They can be angry if they want, but I know they're only angry because they're afraid of me. Now, they're going to be like, oh, we're not afraid of you. We could kill you, blah, blah, blah. I'm not hiding nowhere. I'm always where I'm supposed to be at every single time, or where I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. If someone kills me, someone basically let the spirit of death control them and move them, because why would you kill somebody that's not actually doing anything to you? If I'm trying to fight for my soul and possession of my soul, what does that have to do with you standing over there? If you standing over there minding your business and I'm standing over here minding my business, but I'm just walking by and all of a sudden you shooting me an evil look, you got something working within you that you probably don't even understand. Now, they always be talking about, oh, the streets. And I'm like, no, this is bigger than the streets, because this is worldwide. The streets is just a localized term that they'll use because it's a common thing, right? If you go anywhere else in the world, they probably call it something else, you know? But all of this is occultism. This is like Luciferianism. And you got to remember, Lucifer knows his time is running out. All of these fallen angels know their time is running out. You got to remember, they are granted permission to roam this earth and interact with any human being that's out here. Why? Because the prince of the power of air, Ephesians 2, I believe. The prince of the power of air. That's Lucifer Morningstar. Whoever controls the radio frequencies that are in the air controls everything that we basically see out here. That's why it's so important that people don't have love for money. Because if you love money, then you'll be controlled by money. If you love money, then that means someone can use money to control you because you love money. You know, there's a reason why you should be very careful of what you lust over, or right. Like you got to be very careful about what you lust over. You got to be careful about the people that you bring into your life and everything, because there's a lot of people out here that got spirits probably just walking with them. I mean, just think about it. Even though we can't see, you know, all of the different light energies, or we can't hear all the different, you know, sounds and everything, but just think about it. You see that person walking across the street? Imagine there's probably a spirit walking right behind him. We can't see it because we just don't have that spectrum, or our eyesight just doesn't have that ability. And I'm thinking to myself, even them who are augmented right now, they probably still can't see the spirits that are moving about around them. But I'm just telling you right now, if you are not connected to God, trust and believe everything that they are gathering and trying to collect for themselves and killing for, all of it is going to be destroyed. Think about it. Do you know how powerful the Egyptian kingdoms were? Do you know how powerful the Romans and Greeks were? Look at them now. They are now artifacts. They are now history. They are now dust. And we still continue to dig them up and try to see, oh, what more can we learn from their occultism? You know, they don't want to call it occultism. They want to call it, you know, cometicism or something like that. But that's occultism, you know. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I definitely was one, like, I used to love the meaning of what the Ankh stood for. But then once I started to, like, really understand that, like, the things that they were really getting themselves into, they were dealing with fallen angels. Like all the different names for their gods and whatnot, they were literally fallen angels. But the fallen angels basically had took on fallen angels. Remember, it was like 200 of them that came down, that, you know, descended from heaven to come down to earth. It was 200 of them. So you got to realize there were fallen angels in various parts of the world that all basically made themselves to be of an image that would relate to whatever that civilization was. You know, now it's definitely sad for me to realize that I can't necessarily protect my mother. At least I don't think I can, or I don't know how to yet, because basically, I mean, they've been telling me this for a long time. They're like, oh, he won't even protect his mother, because for me to protect her, I have to just basically be quiet about, you know, targeting. I should have just became a police officer. If I would have just became a police officer, nothing would have happened to me. You know, because remember I told you how this all began was they basically started they basically engaged or activated the synthetic telepathy in my mind while I was at home one day by myself. Well, actually, no, it started from that police call that was made back in March of 2020 when I was living at 1490 Boone Avenue. Then months later, here comes September, like late September 2020 or early October 2020. All of a sudden, now they got the radio frequency transmitting their voice into my mind saying, we're going to shoot you in your sleep. When I heard that, I did not take kindly to that, you know. I did not take kindly to that. So I did what I thought was to try to defend myself. I actually went outside. I went outside to look to see if somebody was like in a car somewhere speaking or whatever. But of course I didn't. There was not one soul outside. Then when I came back upstairs, they was like, we told you you're not gonna find us, nigga. So, but then eventually I realized I put two and two together, because the voice of the person, the voice of the people is four of them. The voices of the people that I hear, they all lived in the building. They all lived in the building. And then the main dude, his mom lived down the hall from me. He was mad because the girl ran out into the hallway and asked for somebody to call the police because he hit her. You know, so besides that, my mom, she told me this morning, like while we was like, you know, waiting for the bus, she said that she was being attacked. She'd been feeling a whole lot of stinging and burning in her legs, and she said every room she would get up and go into, they would try to attack her there. They would attack her in just about every room in the house. And she said every time she moved, she heard a dragging sound of some type of heavy equipment rolled or dragged along the floor. She thinks it's coming from below, which is possible because there's no one living in the apartment below us, or below her. Now, I'm not afraid to meet God. I realize that. I mean, you can't be afraid to meet God. You already know that, you know, these demonic forces, death is a part of everything that they do. They don't care. They will kill anybody who tries to get in their way of dominating this earth. They'll kill everybody who basically stands with God. They'll kill anybody who does not bend their will to these fallen ones. Now, I'm already aware that, like, oh, right, and there was, oh, now I remember the other dream. The other dream was, and it was just as I was about to talk about, mentioning how I realized a lot of people walked away from me. It was another dream where I felt like I was riding a bike, and as I'm riding the bike, I seen this one guy that I was really cool with too before all this talking and stuff. I was really cool. I used to look up to him like an uncle or whatnot. And then I remember seeing him walking down the street, and it looked like he almost kind of didn't want to acknowledge me. So I called his name out, and he kind of gave me a look, and he still waved, but it wasn't the type of energy that he normally would have given. Because sometimes he probably would have been like, most of the time back in the day, he would have like told me to come over, chopped it up with me a little bit. But nah, this in the dream, he basically looked at me and kind of gave me a look and just like gave me a wave or whatever. But you know, it's like they're attacking my solar plexus now. It's coming from the phone, really. It's a controlled steered beam coming right into my solar plexus. But yeah, they attack the chakra points using radio frequencies. The chakra points are your energy centers to your basically your entire soul, like your being. They don't teach about chakras in the Western world, even though we really should learn about these things because it's a part of our body. They don't teach about the aura or the spirit as much in the Western world, even though it's a part of our body. It amazes me how much in the Eastern cultures, they know so much more about the entirety of the human body, while in the Western world, we mostly just focus on science. We mostly just focus on like anatomy and physiology. But we don't necessarily give any acknowledgement to the spiritual aspects of our body. People gotta realize you literally do have a soul, and there are beings out here that are using devices to gain access to your soul. And if you are too strong, and I realize this, if you're too strong and you're not moving according to whatever programs that they're transmitting to your soul, that's when they rev it up a little bit. They rev it up. They start to send people in your direction to try to move you against, the will of God. They try to transmit energy to you so that it tunes your emotional state or your emotional energy to a specific place that they want you to be at. You gotta remind yourself, yes, it's technological, yes, it's psychological warfare, yes, it's chemical warfare, because think about the spraying. I mean, these are normal clouds right now. I don't see any real chemtrail clouds right now, but yeah, it looks like they haven't really sprayed today. But anyway, there's a chemical warfare, but you gotta remember, the very root to all of this is spiritual warfare. They're not going to tell you that it's spiritual warfare because, remember, in the Western world, we apparently don't believe in spirituality. But if you start looking at everybody on the Eastern world, they definitely believe in spirituality. But anyway, I'm doing my best. Like I try to pray I try to see if I can use my energy to try to see if I could pull some of that pain from my mother, because I know it's unfair to her, because I mean she's always been real strong. She's been dealing with targeting since I think the 80s, really. She's been dealing with targeting since the 80s. She's been raised in a church all her life, basically. She's not perfect, but everyone, most people, respect my mother because she speaks her mind. But when she speaks her mind, she's speaking with full intent, and she's speaking with conviction. And if she's wrong, I mean, she ain't always gonna apologize. She'll apologize. If she acknowledges that she's wrong, she'll apologize. But if she thinks she's right, she ain't gonna switch up. She gonna believe she's right until she finally, finally acknowledged that, okay, I was wrong. Like, you gotta present some facts to her, then she'll acknowledge that she's wrong. But my mother got one of the most beautiful souls that's walking on this planet right now, and they're attacking a child of God, and she's about to be 75. And I realized age doesn't matter because they have children linked to this cloud system. So if they want to kill children, they can kill children. If they want to kill a unborn child that's in the womb still, they'll kill them. If they want to kill, they'll kill whoever they want, and it's probably a sacrifice. It's probably basically a blood sacrifice to them. They may not even see it. That's the worst part, is most of these people that's engaging in the or at least orchestrating the attacks, they probably don't even see the spiritual aspects of everything that they're doing, but they doing it anyway though. All they seeing it as is probably that's one less person on the earth, because you got to remember, they're trying to depopulate the earth. Always remember, it's always been about depopulation, but they don't realize they're attacking they're attacking people who actually gives humanity a fighting chance with God. They're attacking people who actually gives humanity a fighting chance with God. Because it's like, look around. It seems like everything that's wrong with the world seems like it's winning. And everything that's good about humanity seems like it's dying. We're living in a death culture right now. We're living in a death culture. And everyone that's supposedly winning, it makes me question, how are they winning now? Like, I can't even look at people who look like they have wealth and think that you got your money fair. I can't even look at people who look real nice and think to myself, did you get that fairly? And it's not like I'm hating. Trust me, I do not care about comparing myself to other people, really. But it's like, because one thing that the people who hack my spiritual energy, they always commenting on how little money I have. You don't make no money. It's always about money with them. It's always about money. And this is why I said in the beginning, do not find yourself loving money. The love of money is the root to all evil. God does not care about money at all. Let me tell you, there are millionaires, there are celebrities, there's all these different people that make so much money, and yet they're still suffering internally. It still amazes me to this day how people can have millions of dollars in their bank account, but yet they commit suicide. I'm like, what? With all the money you got, you could have hired some help. With all the money you got, you could have hired some help. But you committed suicide. You're a millionaire. What are you doing committing suicide? You got all the money in the world to hire some help. But then you got to remember, if you are not spiritually connected to God, it don't matter how much money you have. If you are not connected to God, you cannot survive by yourself in this world. If you are not spiritually connected to God, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're not connected to God, God don't care about your house. God don't care about your car. God don't care about... Look. Remember the book of Job? I think Job had like 7 kids. Or probably even more than that. I forgot the exact number. Job made offerings to God because he wanted to try to bless his children. But Job even had got the sense that even his sons weren't connected to God the way they should have been, right? And then look what God did. God took Job's children. God took Job's sons. God does not care about any of these worldly things that we think about. God does not care about these worldly things. Why? Because we were made in God's image. but put on this world and given free will. Ooh, I got goosebumps. So God made us in his image. And then we were put on this earth and to have free will. You should not ever curse the very being that birthed you into this world. And I'm not talking about your mom and dad. I'm talking about the Lord of Spirits, as they refer to God in the book of Enoch, the Lord of Spirits, the creator of all spirits. Oh, now they're attacking my genitals. It's all coming from the bottom of the phone. These iPhones, I swear the iPhone was like probably one of the greatest weapons that they ever created. And they cloaked it to be this thing for entertainment and access to information. I kid you not. There is a universal energy that's going to come over the earth, and it's about to do something crazy. It's about to do something crazy. And anyone that's not connected to God, that energy is going to destroy them. It's gonna, and I've been getting more and more in tune with my guardian angels and getting more in tune with God, and I'm just like, I've been doing everything I can to learn how to manually tune my energy so I can keep it raised, so I can keep it high. Because if you don't learn to raise your vibrations or learn how to manage your vibrations, you will eventually welcome in death and sickness into your life. That's why they always keep TIs in a perpetual state of fear. Why? Because when you are in a state of fear all the time, you are welcoming sickness and death into your life. This is why they try to isolate TIs. This is why they try to isolate us. Because if they isolate you, then you won't necessarily be able to commune with someone else. You won't be able to, probably get encouragement from someone else. This is why I understand why they call it the TI community, because we're literally like God's chosen children. Like, when you think about it, we're God's chosen children. We are being separated from the rest of the world. It's so important that we actually try to, even if it's through the internet, we got to try to communicate and be in contact with one another. And if you could get in touch with other TIs that live around you, try to do what you can to make sure you get their phone numbers, check in on them. I know I got to get better with that, but I know sometimes they know that if they're ever going through something, they know they can always just call me. But do yourself a favor. Remember that you have a soul. Remember that you have a soul, and that soul is a part of God. They can use technology to basically manipulate your energy, or they can use technology to try to see if they can cause you whatever. Just remember, you are still connected to God. Just don't curse God because things are happening to you. You got to remember, the devil and the fallen ones, they were given earth. They were given earth. They can't go back to heaven. So all they could do is rule what's down here. So you gotta remember and understand that the fallen ones were given earth, so they control everything. So of course, people who don't want to go through the fire, they would give themselves over so that they can have access to worldly things. Let me repeat that again, because he got mad because I said that. The fallen ones were banished from heaven. So now all they can do is rule over everything that's on this earth. People who do not want to walk through the fire and be the representation of God's light that they are supposed to be, they are giving themselves over willingly. Giving themselves over willingly. Just so that they can have worldly things that God destroys anyway. All of this stuff that's out here right now, at some point it's going to be gone. At some point, all of this is going to be gone. We don't know yet when yet, but we know it's going to happen. Remember, the earth is 85% of water. A good portion of it is frozen, and a good portion of it is actually under the earth. I've definitely have come across some information that mentions how there's like an ocean underneath the ocean. Like, there's so much about the ocean that we still don't know. There's so many creatures and everything that's deep in the ocean that we don't know. And I haven't even really gotten into the whole marine kingdom thing, because I know that type of stuff, I felt like that type of stuff was just way above my head. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm about to go home. Try to see if I can get something to eat. I ain't eat nothing really today. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually put the link to today's church service in the description, because Pastor really went in. He was talking, he preached on Psalms 23. And if you don't know Psalms 23, just get yourself a Bible and go to Psalm chapter 23. I actually broke down in tears at church today, reading through it. I broke down, and yesterday while I was at work, I was having some very, very elated moments where I almost felt like I was about to break down in tears. Like, I was happy though. Like, I was listening to some gospel, and I started the morning off listening to Romans, and I think I started listening to Psalms, and then I started listening to some gospel music. And then I had pulled up at one stop. It was like 333 Pearl Street, Pearl Street, and all of a sudden I started to feel my eyes just watering up, and I was like, dang, I'm not trying to cry out here in the street right now, guy. Like, I was like, hold it together, Chris. But then all of a sudden, I don't know, I went into church today, and I know the devil was trying to keep me from sleeping. They was trying to mess with me in 5 different dreams. And then when we started to read Psalm 23, man, I don't know, something just came over and it just started pouring out of me. Like, I could barely stand. It was just pouring out of me. It's like, that's how much I've been taking in with this spiritual warfare. I realized, because I haven't been releasing. I've been just taking it in, but I haven't been releasing. So I think God needed to, just get in me and just pull it out of me. Yeah, so yeah, they got a lot of energy on my solar plexus right now. But all right, everybody, as you always know, my saying, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.